Hi everyone, so today I want to talk to you about smart snacking. Now I want to start this video with a bit of an idea of what this isn't going to be about. So this isn't about what is a healthy snack and what isn't a healthy snack. So I'm going to talk about behaviour rather than hummus and carrot sticks. I think we all are quite aware of what healthy snacking is, but I can certainly do a video on ideas for healthy snacks if you would like me to, so please put a comment in below if you'd like to learn a little bit more about that. Today what I want to talk about is some of the behavioural tips and tricks that you can try to nudge yourself towards healthier snacking. So when I talk about nudge, there's a whole theory known as nudge theory that looks at how you can make small changes to the environment in which you live, and you can effectively encourage healthier behaviour by just making those small changes that then almost unconsciously cause you to act in a more healthy way. So that's really what I want to talk to you about today. Making small changes to your environment that can help you be healthier, and I'm going to specifically talk about snacking. We can talk about eating out, we can talk about meal times in other videos, but today I want to focus mostly on snacking. So number one, I like to call this hide and unhide. What I'm going to talk about is making certain snacks more accessible and others less accessible, depending upon whether they are healthy or whether they're more of a treat. So if you open your cupboard door and the first thing that you see is a packet of biscuits, you're more likely to think, oh, I'm going to have one of those biscuits, and then one becomes two, and before you know you've had half a packet, because they were just there sitting and looking at you and saying, hey, I look tasty, eat me. So what I would suggest is that you keep your unhealthy treats, or your less healthy treats, let's say, because we want it to be balanced and about the total diet, but you keep them somewhere less accessible, and there's lots of ways that you can do that. So you can put them in a container that's quite difficult to open. I've got this cake tin and I find it really difficult to open. You kind of have to go all the way round and it's a bit of a chore. And so I've literally just finished a bit of Christmas cake that was in here a couple of days ago, because I look at it and think it's just going to be such a faff for me to get the lid off this thing. And I know this sounds ridiculous, but it actually does work. Sorry, it's going to make a really big noise. It does work because it is a barrier, and even these small barriers can have an effect. What you can also do is put that difficult to open container in a cupboard, right at the top shelf, maybe put it behind a bunch of jars or a bunch of packets of other stuff. So you have to maybe climb on something to get to it, or you have to move a lot of things out of the cupboard to get to it. And again, that just makes it a little less in your face. So unhealthy snacks, put them away in a hard to open container, hide them behind things. They're just out of sight and less in your mind. So when it comes to healthy snacks, have them really accessible, visible and appetizing. It's really important that they're appetizing. So, you know, like I have here, I've got my fruit bowl on the countertop. Lovely, nice, full, colourful fruit bowl. And have that out so that it's always visible. Wash your fruit, the fruit that needs to be washed, so that you don't have to think, oh no, I need to wash that apple before I eat it, so I'm going to have a biscuit instead. Make sure that it's all prepared, you know, wash your grapes or whatever it is. But make sure it's out, accessible, visible, colourful, well stocked. That's one example, but you could also chop up your fruit, put it in the fridge, make sure that it's right at the front of the fridge in a covered bowl so it's visible, you can see it, it's easily accessible. You can do the same with vegetables. I said I wasn't going to talk about hummus and carrot sticks, but you know, you can prepare some crudité like vegetables, for example, pop those in the fridge, pop a little pot of dip or something next to them, and again, it's straight in your face when you open the fridge door. So it's a lot more easy to see, access, and think, hey, you know, I'm gonna have that. Again, colourful, tasty, really nice and appetising, and straight away you've got a healthy snack that's there, easy to get to. So, tip number 2, portion control. Again, this is really important when it comes to meals, drinks, or snacks. Portion control is absolutely key. You know, if you eat a packet of biscuits or half a packet of biscuits, you've probably gone a bit over on your portion sizes. So it's about, again, being savvy. When you're fancying a sweet treat, for example, go to the biscuit tin that you've hidden, it's difficult to open, and all of those things that we talked about in the first tip, but get out a biscuit or maybe 2 biscuits, depending on, you know, how much you want to treat yourself. But sounds crazy, but go and get a plate. Don't stand in the kitchen making a cup of tea and nibbling a couple of biscuits and then thinking, well, I'll take a couple of biscuits back to my desk with me, or you know, back into the living room with me, or whatever it is. Make that cup of tea. Don't eat any biscuits. Go to the cupboard, get a plate, put a couple of biscuits on a plate, put your biscuits back in the tin, back in the cupboard, hidden behind the pasta or whatever it is, and then take your cup into the living room, wherever it is, and just enjoy those biscuits. Sit there and really savour the enjoyment of eating a sweet treat, because, you know, you're not going to purge yourself and deny yourself snacks and treats all the time, because that would be crazy, and who wants to live a life of just really boring plain foods all the time. You want to treat yourself, but you want to do it in a way that's savvy. So portion control, but actually really enjoy it as well. Don't infuse it with guilt while you're eating it, or give yourself a guilt trip after you've eaten it. You know, it's about the 80-20 rule, and it's about enjoying those snacks when you have them. Another thing about portion control is if you've got something in a large bag, like a big bag of crisps, for example, or a big bag of nuts, something that's in a sharing pack kind of format, you are much more likely to overeat, and a lot of research actually shows this, that you're more likely to overeat if you're eating from a large serve size. We're just a lot, we find it a lot more difficult to judge how much we're eating when we're eating from a large bag of crisps or a bag of popcorn or whatever it is. You get these huge tubs at the cinema, and you just kind of sit there like this throughout the film, and it's just there on your lap, and you've no idea how much you've consumed. So another tip that I have is portion things out. If you want some crisps, for example, you're watching a film, or you want some popcorn, instead of putting them in a really big container, if there's several of you even, put it in separate smaller containers. So, you know, a little kind of this sort of size pot, or, you know, a small bowl if you can, of crisps or popcorn or whatever it is, and put it away in the kitchen, so it's not on the countertop. Put it all away, serve it out in small portion sizes, and again, you're much less likely to overeat that way. When I eat nuts, for example, or, you know, if I'm taking them with me on a trip out, or I'm going to work, for example, I'll just put them in a little tub like this. So it's really small, you can only fit a few nuts in there, a handful almost, and so it's a great way to portion things out again. So that's my tip 2 really, is portion control. Be really portion savvy. Don't deny yourself those snacks, but just make sure you're controlling your portion sizes. So my 3rd tip is about the office cake culture. Now, I've written a blog about this, and there's been various stories in the media, and I want to assure you that I am not the fun police, and I do a lot of work in the workplace, healthier eating, workplace wellness kind of campaigns, and I help companies with their staff, employee health and wellness. And I get a lot of people saying to me, oh, you know, I love to have treats in the office when people come back from holidays, or when it's someone's birthday, for example, but I really just can't resist and they're always on a treat table, and there's always something different every day. There's always a birthday, an engagement, a celebration of some description, and there is pretty much on a daily basis treats in your office. So how do you navigate this without being a real nanny about things? I think there's lots of things that you can do, and some of them relate back to the first point around accessibility. Rather than having a treat table that is in the walkway so everybody has to go past it, make sure the treats are somewhere less accessible so that you have to actually go out of your way or make an effort to get to them. So whether it's putting them in the kitchen, again in a tub or in a cupboard or in some kind of container so they're not just on display for you to sort of snaffle as and when. That's one thing. If you don't have a kitchen, put them on a table that is maybe out of the way, so it's at the end of a desk corridor or something where there aren't loads of passing people. It's just another way to make things a little bit more of an effort to go to. If you've got a bowl of sweets, for example, on your desk or right next to your desk or sort of separating a few desks, you're much more likely, if it's literally within reaching distance, you are much more likely to be snacking on those than if you have to get up and walk 20 or 30 yards past a load of desks. And you know, one of the things I think, if I sort of have to make an effort to walk to something and it's the treat table, everyone knows that I'm going to the treat table, and then everyone's looking at me and I'm thinking, I probably shouldn't be taking this because now they're going to look at me and go, oh, she's a nutritionist, she took chocolate, which, you know, is fine, and I eat chocolate, of course I do. But again, it just sort of makes you think for a second, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to not have something or have a cup of tea or go and find some fruit or something like that. So that's one thing about office cake culture is make the treats less accessible, like we talked about in point one. Another thing you can do is have a chat with your colleagues. If other people are feeling the same way, then maybe as a team that works together, you can create a little policy of your own. So maybe when it's someone's birthday, you all go and have a 20-minute break and a cup of tea to celebrate with them instead. Or you decide to make something healthy. Maybe you have an agreement that you're going to only have treats one day of the week. And you take it in turns to maybe bake something so it makes an occasion of it. And even maybe try and find some healthy recipes that are healthier treats, you know, whether it's you know, lower sugar flapjacks or different kinds of bakes that use a bit less sugar or a bit less fat or something like that. Maybe sort of make an occasion of the treat so that then for the rest of the week you've got something to look forward to. There's lots of different ways that you can do it, but I think, you know, we spend so much time in the workplace, we work very long hours, and having treats available all the time it's difficult because you then are almost relying upon them every day, and then your 80-20 rule becomes more like your 50-50 rule, and half of the things that you're eating are going to be less healthy. So I do think it's really important, and I want to reassure you that I'm not the fun police, but I do think that office cake culture has a lot to answer for. So that really would be my third and final tip, is that, you know, just make office treats more of an occasion. Don't have them every day or every other day. So the bottom line is that some people genuinely find it much harder than others to resist less healthy snacks and treats. So really the point of this video is to make it easier on yourself by changing your environment rather than trying to constantly resist lots of visible treats around you. Let me know how you get on. If you try some of these tips, then do feedback in the comments below, and if you've got any suggestions for further videos, then again do let me know. So subscribe to my channel, I'd love if you could do that, and pop back soon to see some of my new videos. Take care, bye!